Gabby Thomas is back, but not the way anyone expected. After a long injury break, she made one move that surprised fans everywhere. Not just where she's racing, but what she's racing. This isn't her usual event, and the risk is real. If it works, it could change her career. If not, everything shifts. And what happens next is what has everyone watching. Think you know Gabby Thomas? She built her name in the 200 meters and became one of the most trusted winners on the track. But now, she's stepping into something different. A new race, a new challenge, and a decision that could change how people see her. This isn't just a return, it's a move that could reshape her career. Here's what makes this move so controversial. Thomas is the fourth fastest woman in 200-meter history. Her personal best of 21.60 seconds puts her in legendary territory. She's built her entire Olympic legacy around explosive speed and shorter distances. Now, just months after recovering from an injury that nearly derailed her career, she's stepping into the 400 meters against one of the most dangerous quarter-milers on the planet. To understand why this decision has sent shockwaves through the track community, you need to know what Thomas has been through. The Achilles injury that started in May 2025 wasn't just a minor setback. This was the kind of nagging problem that gets worse the more you try to push through it. By July, the pain had become unbearable. She could barely finish third at the US Championships, qualifying for World Championships by just 1,000th of a second. Then came the heartbreaking decision to withdraw completely, watching from home as her teammates competed in Tokyo. For an athlete who thrives on competition, who feeds off the energy of big races, sitting out the World Championships was devastating. Thomas had been chasing her first individual world title. She'd won silver in Budapest in 2023. Tokyo was supposed to be her moment. Instead, she spent months rehabbing, rebuilding, and questioning whether her best days were behind her. The comeback story begins in Austin, Texas. On April 4th, 2026, Thomas opened her season at the Texas Relays with a statement that echoed across every track in America. She didn't just win the 100 meters, she equaled her personal best of 11.00 seconds, proving that the explosiveness was still there. The Achilles had healed. The speed remained intact. But instead of sticking to familiar territory, Thomas made a decision that has everyone talking. She announced her African tour. 3 races across 3 countries in 8 days. First, the Addis Ababa Grand Prix in Ethiopia on April 18th. Then, Kenya for the Kip Keino Classic on April 24th. Finally, the Botswana Golden Grand Prix on April 26th. This isn't just racing. This is a statement about where track and field's future lies. Africa has become the heartbeat of distance running, but sprinting? That's where Thomas wants to plant her flag. The altitude factor alone makes this fascinating. Addis Ababa sits at over 7,500 feet above sea level. Nairobi is nearly 6,000 feet high. For a sprinter used to sea-level tracks, this creates an entirely different racing environment. The thinner air means less oxygen, which affects energy systems differently in short versus long races. Her explosive speed might be less affected by the thin air than an endurance-based approach, giving her an early biomechanical advantage out of the blocks. However, if she cannot process oxygen efficiently over the full one-lap distance, the elevation could rapidly drain her reserves before the finish line. But the real bombshell came when Kip Keino Classic meet director Barnaba Korir made an announcement that changed everything. Thomas wouldn't be running her signature 200 meters in Nairobi. She wouldn't even be running the 100. Instead, she was moving up to the 400 meters to face Kenya's newest sprinting sensation. Enter Mercy Oketch. If you don't know this name yet, you will soon. The 23-year-old from Kenya's Defense Forces has been rewriting record books across 2 continents. In 2025, she shattered the Kenyan national 400-meter record with a blazing 50.14 seconds at the Kip Keino Classic. That time doesn't just make her the fastest Kenyan woman ever over 400 meters, it puts her in the conversation with the world's elite quarter-milers. Oketch's rise has been meteoric. She broke the national record 3 times in 2026 alone. First, a 52.98 at a meet in Germany. Then, 52.25 in Madrid. Finally, 51.53 in France. Each performance showed greater endurance, better race tactics, and the kind of finishing speed that makes 400-meter specialists wake up in cold sweats. At the recent World Indoor Championships in Poland, she clocked 51.25 seconds, setting yet another national record and announcing herself as a legitimate threat to anyone brave enough to race her. The matchup styles couldn't be more different. Thomas built her career on devastating acceleration and maintaining top speed. Her 200-meter races are studies in perfect race execution. She explodes from the blocks, hits maximum velocity around the turn, and holds that speed longer than anyone else in the world. The 400 meters? That's a completely different beast. It requires speed endurance, tactical awareness, and the ability to suffer through lactic acid buildup that can make your legs feel like concrete. Oketch, meanwhile, has spent years perfecting the art of the one-lap race. She understands how to distribute energy across 400 meters. She knows when to move, when to wait, and how to time her finish. Racing at home, in front of thousands of Kenyan fans who view her as the next great sprinting hope, she'll have every advantage except one. Thomas has been in pressure situations that would break most athletes. Olympic finals, Diamond League showdowns, the biggest stages in track and field. The decision to race in Africa also represents something bigger for Thomas. She's talked about wanting to leave a legacy that goes beyond medals and records. This tour is about taking elite competition directly to some of the world's most passionate track and field fans. Countries where running isn't just sport, it's culture. Places where athletes are treated like heroes and children dream of racing on the biggest stages. The timing adds another layer of intrigue. This is an off year in track and field, a time when athletes typically experiment and push boundaries. For Thomas, the 400 meters represents uncharted territory. Her personal best of 49.68 seconds shows she has the raw speed, but race tactics at 400 meters are completely different from anything she's experienced. What makes this even more compelling is what it means for both athletes' futures. Success at 400 meters opens up entirely new possibilities for Thomas. She could become a legitimate threat in the US 4x400 relay, or confidently consider the 400 meters as a primary event for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. For Oketch, beating a decorated Olympic champion like Thomas would announce her arrival as a global superstar and put Kenyan sprinting on the map in a spectacular way. The venue adds to the spectacle. For the first time, the Kip Keino Classic will be held under floodlights at Nairobi's Nyayo Stadium. This electric nighttime atmosphere showcases African track and field culture at its finest, complemented by enhanced security and entertainment from artist Iyani. Oketch represents a new generation of African sprinters who are challenging the traditional status quo dominated by the United States and Jamaica. The psychological aspect cannot be ignored. Thomas is stepping into Oketch's backyard, racing at altitude, in an event where she has significantly less experience. The pressure is entirely on Thomas to prove her speed translates to the longer sprint. If she loses, critics will say she should have stuck to her specialty events. If she wins, it opens an entirely new chapter in her career. The broader implications extend beyond just one race. Having the sport's biggest stars compete in different regions creates international storylines that capture imaginations. Thomas, with her Harvard neurobiology degree and STEM advocacy, has always been more than an athlete. This African tour perfectly aligns with her broader mission to inspire and connect with communities around the world. Moving from 200 to 400 meters isn't just about running twice as far. The energy systems are completely different. The 200 meters relies on explosive power, while the 400 requires a delicate balance of speed and endurance. Thomas has adjusted her training with longer intervals and lactic acid tolerance work to build the speed endurance necessary for an entire lap. If successful, this transition could reshape how we think about elite sprinting versatility. For Thomas, it's a test of expanding her event range. For Oketch, it's an opportunity to prove the emergence of a new world-class talent. The unprecedented media coverage proves the global track community is paying close attention.